And we are back with another game of ranked Paragon. This time we're gonna follow up Neft. Neft, one of the top carry, probably the best carry on the EU scene. And he's gonna play Twinblast with a Zinx in lane against a Steel Grime. Steel Grime, potential to be able to deal a lot of damage if they manage to get like their combo onto the Twinblast, but Twinblast with the rocket dash should be able to always space properly from like the bull rush from the steel, so should be able to do pretty good. Though it's a little bit hard to aggress, even though we have the Zinx first, because the damage of Grim early is better than the damage of Twinblast, and also because it's very easy normally for a Bondred to be able to shield the stun from the Zinx. So it's limit a little bit the option, but Bondred is not a main carry, he's a main offlaner, so that could have some impact at that very high level of play. Naturally, you don't play at your best when you're not on your main role, and that can have some impact. Here you can see Neft going for the Vaporize to try to poke. They don't have any sustain in that lane, so any trade that Neft takes for himself while they poke the enemy scene is pretty good. And here we got like a very good stun by Pew Pew Guns. Immediately Neft step forward, get a couple of auto attack in with the Vaporize, and then back out. And that's really what you should be doing as a carry when you're playing like the dual lane. It's very hard and very rare that you have opportunity to fully hard commit on the wave. And so you can see here, maybe like Pew Pew Guns going a little bit too aggressive, trying to get the stun doesn't connect, but dodge the bull rush. But yeah, you're looking at like those short trades. You go for a spell, couple to attack, and then you back out because minion does a lot of damage. So you really have to be careful about that. And also, more importantly, you shouldn't like miss a single CS, which is very important to get your first item power spike quickly. And if you get your first item power spike faster than your opposition, suddenly you're able to like dominate completely the dual lane matchup. So here we're not trying to crash the wave too fast. The idea is that we cannot fully crash the wave when it's cannon wave, and we don't want the wave to be under tower before the next wave arrives, because now we want to crash, and since the wave is that big, it should be like pretty easy to be able to crash that wave. One thing also for people that don't know, minion does a lot of damage early game, and it's very important to not draw too many aggro, and you're not gonna draw aggro from minion if you use AoE abilities. For instance, we see multiple times Neft is going for the Vaporize, and the Vaporize deals damage but doesn't draw the aggro of the minion on himself. Only his auto attack on Twinblast will draw aggro of minion, because Vortex Grenade is also an AoE ability. So we're gonna go back to base here. There was like a very huge wave crash on the tower. So when you crash the wave, it's the perfect moment to reset, because that means the wave is gonna like bounce back. So that means that at some point the wave will come back to you. The enemy team cannot freeze it, or at worst will become neutral, which means it's in the middle of the lane, which allow yourself to have like a back timing without getting denied many farm, because they cannot freeze the lane. So that's the perfect timing. And here you can see that Neft already have his Soul Chalice on the first back. When you're playing Twinblast is what you're looking to get, because you want to get your Soul Chalice to be able to start stacking as early as you can. And here you can see like there is one more range minion, and so that means that the wave is bouncing back. That means that if they want, they're gonna be able to just let the wave come back to that tower. But they have to be careful of not letting the wave get too big. That's why like Neft still like auto-attacking it a little bit. Because if the wave is too big, it's gonna be very easy for the opponent to crash it. And you don't want to make like the life of opponent very easy. So we see here Neft is trying to trim the wave a little bit, so the wave is not like humongous. And that way they can maybe freeze the wave, force them in an awkward position, force them to fight on their territory. And here you can see now the wave is frozen in front of tower. Since we kill those two melee minions, it's not going to be fully frozen, but at the same time that means we can keep the wave kind of even. And that way you see like Bondred and Plasma Sword have to go forward the fog gate, which makes them like a little bit uncomfortable, because they are exposed for ganks if the jungler of the side of Neft is coming. Here we were like in a position to be bull rushed, so Neft has to use the rocket dash, anticipating the bull rush. Plasma Sword decided to not go for it as soon as like the rocket dash has been used, which is normal. And here we're gonna get like the gank from Romaware. We try to go for the subjugate connect, we get the stun, we force the flash, we're gonna deal as much damage as we can, a good wall, and then there is the protection from the energy shield, so we're not gonna find a kill, but we already have found at least the flash out of Bondrewd, while no flash has been expanded on the side of the Dusk team. And it was a 3 versus 3. Two hands are arriving a little bit later. We force Bondrewd back to base, so here we can look at crashing the wave, and that's exactly what Neft is doing. He's kind of low on mana, so he needs to crash that wave, because if that wave doesn't get crashed, suddenly he's gonna be in trouble. And this is where like it's a little bit tough, because Two Hands is around, they have seen him, and now we're gonna like use the rocket dash with the rest of the mana, and they found like the perfect situation to be able to crash the wave without exposing themselves too much for the gank. They're gonna try to go for the gold buff, but I feel like it's a little bit greedy. As we can see, like Two Hands is coming back. I don't think you can go for it. Both of them are very low on mana. Steel has flash. I think if we go for that gold buff, the Steel can flash in aggressively, and that forced probably the flash either of the Zinks of Neft. So I'm not really certain going for that gold buff was ever correct. And they don't go for it because otherwise they would have died. And this is also something like sometimes you go for a decision and you have the right to reassess the situation and say like, okay, this decision was bad, let's cancel it. I see that time and time again in games, people like start a Fangtus and say like, okay, we have gone for the Fangtus, now we have to commit for it. And sometimes if you realize that this Fangtus was a bad decision, well, don't go for it. You can just reset and try another time. Here it's interesting to see. I don't know if you see like the trading pattern of Neft. Most of the time you go for a Vaporize into a Vortex Grenade to get like the double damage at the same time, and also bypassing a little bit the shield of the Grim. And so he really going like for Vaporize, Vortex Grenade, double auto attack, and then he back out. That's really trying to maximize the burst of his poke, because Twinblast is not really like an all-in character like for instance Rongo can be. He's more a poking character in the early game. Here Pew Pew Gans was a little bit out of position, kinda lose the flash, didn't really respect the rotation and the position of the Steel. Should have been looking in behind the fog wall before trying to create any aggression. Luckily for him, the mid lane was rotating, so at least he's not gonna die, but that's like a free flash offered for the mid team, and also a lot of damage taken in a situation that we're looking at crashing the wave. Here the Steel is trying to freeze, but didn't do it perfectly, so minion ended up under tower. And so here we keep the farming going. I think we're starting to be a little bit ahead. You can see 15 CS up. Already like pushing lead. And all comes down to just good wave management, taking advantage of the domination. They got like the good gank from Romaware, while Two Hands so far hasn't been done very good gank. Pew Pew Guns here is dead. No flash. Walking through that fog wall was very, very troll. Neft tried to deal some damage, but to be honest here, his support was so out of position that he cannot do much. So when your support do very, very bad move like that, try to get the best out of it, but don't put yourself in a position to get killed as a carry. Now Neft is a little bit in a bad position, because now they can freeze, which is a big issue. And now he's gonna go to try to be aggressive. He still has his flash, that's why like he's gonna go for the aggression, because he knows that even if he ends up low on HP, he still has his flash to get away. And here he win the 1v2, which will allow him to crash that wave. I'm not a big fan of what Bondrewd has done here, and that's maybe like where it shows that it's not the main role, because here if they keep the freeze, that's gonna put Neft in a very, very awkward position until he see where Two Hands here. He would have to use some Vortex Grenade to be able to farm. That could be like dangerous, and probably also keep the freeze for a long time. So they should have exploited a little bit better the mistake of Pew Pew Guns and keep the freeze as long as they can, but they try to be a little bit aggressive, and Neft's gonna take advantage of that to deal a lot of damage, being able to get the kill, and since he has the flash, he was never in any risk of dying. So now he has finished his other item, which is Infernum. So it's basically like almost a Soul Chalice up compared to Bondroot. So now they can really fight aggressively because Neft is very, very ahead. And also Infernum is a better power spike than Sky Splitter when it comes to short trade and being able to kill people. Here we get Romauer arriving, we have the Shield Slam, which kind of force him to use his flash. Plasma Sword going for the Bull Rush on the right direction, so that's gonna be the end of that engagement. Romauer is trying like to pressure a little bit more, but Two Hands is here. Here we try to poke, we try to apply the Infernum stack to get as much damage as we can. Wave is not in a good spot, especially with Two Hands being around. Good Displacement Blast by Bondroot, which makes the Vaporize miss. We have to respect the fact that Two Hands is around, who could still be around, they don't know, but... And here we see immediately, we try to go for the Displacement Blast behind Neft. Neft is gonna try to deal as much damage as he can to maybe trade something, and here we see the Regenerate being used. That's still gonna be a kill, but Two Hands is low. Unfortunately, we do have the shield wall that stops any possibility. We're gonna try to go for the ultimate on Bondroot. If Bondroot was staying with that wave, maybe we could have gotten a lot of damage, but Bondroot like back out correctly. And now we have Romauer that is back. So position of Romauer should help Neft to be able to crash that wave. He already has his crest at 12 minutes, which is quite fast. So here we're gonna like try to crash as fast as we can. Here, you don't go for it. I would have seen Carry try to play with your jungler, but that's not what the play is for you as a carry. Here, if you go play with your jungler, maybe you get a kill, but you can see how Swaz is rotating. Now Romauer is getting collapsed from everywhere. You don't have your flash up, which means that you will probably die. And also that means that maybe this wave doesn't crash. You don't go back under your right tempo to be able to secure your Liberator and buy a Honed Chris. And suddenly you lose a lot of tempo. So sometimes your jungle will go for very aggressive move. As a carry, the first 15 minutes of the game, in my opinion, you should really focus on how to keep your tempo up to maximize your farm so you can enter the mid game very, very strong. And that's exactly what Neft has done here. Unfortunately for him, the wave was that big that they secured the tower without him being able to get the gold. At the same time, if he go for the tower, I think it would have lost a lot of tempo once again. And also maybe would have been at risk of dying without flash. So sometimes you don't get those local gold. Even though I'm pretty sure Neft would have loved to get it, because getting this local gold is 300 gold more compared to simply getting the tower. Because it's 100 gold to everyone on the map, plus 300 local gold to everyone that is in range of the tower when she dies. And here we try to be a little bit aggressive. We feel confident that even if the opponent is coming, we try to go and we miss. So we're gonna force the flash, we get the plasma. Ooh, that's very, very clean. Dodging by stepping forward, we try to go. And I love also the confidence of Neft to kill at the Vortex Grenade. He was convinced the Vortex Grenade was connecting on Bondroot, and so he turned immediately his attention to the steal. And now they got like the double kill in the 2v2 scenario, so that means it's a free Fangtus for his team. And you see taking advantage that Bondroot, probably at that time, yeah, hasn't finished his second item, which is normal, but hasn't finished the crest, which means that they had a very strong power play. Also, they had the Marshal completed. With the Marshal completed, plus the crest, they were so far ahead of that dual lane, and that's why Neft decided to press the aggression, press the trigger. He took advantage of his power spike, and so even if they fight, there is nothing that this dual lane can do. And so the enemy dual lane should have been looking at trying to not fight at all, because they were so down in terms of power spike. And now we got the resolution finish. So for those that are curious about the build, he has gone for the Soul Chalice. Usually if you're perfect at stacking, getting last hit, you finish the stacking around 14 minutes. After he finishes Soul Chalice, he go immediately for the Infernum to get like a better 1.5 item power spike, and then he finished the Resolution, because Resolution, when it's fully stacked, is actually a very, very strong item, especially on Twinblast, because you get a lot of on-hit damage for it. And here you can see how they're playing like super aggressive, trying to stop Bondroot to be able to farm. We do have to be a little bit careful though, because we don't have that much life still, since we don't go for the Sky Splitter. but we still have like a pretty decent one, so poke can stick a little bit compared of like the more traditional carry when we start with a Sky Splitter and suddenly we got like the lifesteal from the crest plus the Sky Splitter, which means that we're at 15% lifesteal and allow you to sustain very, very well any type of poke. So here we kind of have to respect a little bit. Neft assumed that we're going for the mini prime after winning the engagement on the other side of the map. But at the same time, shouldn't risk it too much. And here we're going for the Zealous Tomahawk, which can open up two paths. You can go for the Demolisher or you can go for the Perforator. Here they have a Terra, they have Azarus, they have Steel. Steel already built HP, Terra already built HP. Zarus already built HP, so I think it's definitely gonna be Demolisher because you get like more damage overall. Even though Demolisher can be a little bit awkward on Twinblast because you don't get the benefit on your Vortex Grenade because Vortex Grenade is magical damage. But I still believe it's worse for the Vaporize damage, the ultimate damage, and of course the basic auto-attack damage. We're gonna first the Stasis Trap, and that's gonna be like a very easy free kill. Good play by Romauer here. Swaz not really respecting the fact that there was 4 people in front of it while being a simple howitzer, and so we collect the shutdown here on this howitzer. Then we're gonna go for the rotation. Bondroot going into the jungle, trying to dodge any aggression. Finally finishing his crest, but quite far behind. 5 minutes after Neft finishes his own crest, which is a huge delay. And so the crest completion is really something you can abuse in the carry role once you become like very good. And so here we're gonna steal a little bit the 3 camp while trying to remain safe, not exposing himself because there's multiple people around and nobody in his team could be around to help him. So now we're just gonna walk away, and you can see how, unless at the moment that he got a very strong power spike, how Neft never walked forward really that much. Here he go a little bit, but always like stay on his zone. He doesn't want to risk picking collapse on, especially since now it's 4-0, so he has a huge bounty on his head. And only when he feels confident that he can win fight, even if the jungler were showing up or he has information, he's actually going to commit. Otherwise, you really focus on farming, and you can see that's 168 CS to the 125 of Bondroot. We're 40 CS up at 18 minutes, which is quite a lot. Also a level up. I'm not sure it's a full level up. Well, almost actually a full level up because we're gonna catch that wave. And here we got Romauer arriving. They kind of play like that slow in a good way. And it's also something I wish people are gonna turn around, and probably that's gonna be Neft forced to flash away. We got the Neural Orgenesis. We have to be careful. That's a good turnaround. We get the ultimate, the GTFO, but that's not gonna secure a kill, and so Neft will have to go back. And in the end, ooh, and we got the Terra from behind. Good reaction. Ooh, unfortunately the camera jump, and that's gonna be the dive from Two Hand. Two Hand surviving with 1 HP. Will he be able to get away? I think he will. Nobody is around, and so that's gonna be the shutdown onto Neft, and Two Hand being 5-0 and 2. So that's something I was wanting to talk about, is how you have to not really risk it, but also here on that gank, it's how Neft actually prepared the gank. I would have seen a lot of carry and support. Because their jungler is around, they're gonna start like to look aggressive, trying to pressure and say like, okay, we fight. And that completely sell the fact that the enemy team is around. That means that the jungler is around. When it's like that and your jungler is just waiting patiently like Romauer was, just play normal. Don't change the way you play, because then that will give information to the enemy team that your jungle is around. And here they just play normal. They back out because the wave is approaching the tower, which didn't sell anything and made the gank very easy onto that Grim. Unfortunately, he didn't being fully successful because good collapse of the enemy team. But that's exactly the intention. You should be able to prepare ganks, and sometimes prepare ganks is engaging before your jungler will arrive, but in that situation it was to hide the fact that the jungler is around. Unfortunately, Two Hands managed to steal the Fanctus. So it's not going to be double Fanctus for the Dusk side. So a pretty even game so far. Demolisher has been completed, as we can see here. We do get like the Steel going aggressive, and that's gonna be also like ultimate being used. We do have the Neural Genesis, but I don't think Neft can get away from that. Pretty good collapse of the enemy team. And since Neft was level 12, it's gonna be like a very, very long test timer. And so that's probably... I don't think they can really force the Ore Prime yet with only the kill. Well, they also got the Quang, but Bondrewd is on the opposite side of the map. If Bondrewd was around, I think they could. And we get the Terra using the Unstoppable Force to dodge the Fly Trap, force the dash away. Morris is arriving. We're trying to space himself. You see how our Mauer separate himself from the face, so Morris cannot go for the Coliseum. He didn't have it, but... that's good habit to have. And now we're working towards the Serrated Blade, so I assume could be the Tainted Trident, since we're going more for a physical penetration burst build. And not really like that much of a basic auto attack on it. Enemy team collapse on Bondrewd that was trying to get the tower, get punished for it. We have to be careful though, because now we have 3 people on the right side while our Prime is up. So that's why Romauer is going back to base. Try to create a little bit of pressure on the other side of the map. We're gonna keep like the farm going. And here once again, we don't step forward because we don't have information on everyone. And as a carry that doesn't have his blink, you're actually very, very vulnerable to any dive and gank. So we're gonna go back to base.
All right. You know what we're doing?
Buy a little bit of short sword. When you don't have anything to do on the map as a carry, it's very important that you keep your gold spent because any amount of damage on carry are very important. Here we're gonna try to deal as much damage as we can on Moros. Moros gonna end up dying. Now we're positioning ourselves. Always play behind your front line as a carry, and here we try to get some damage, and you can see how like Neft switched target all the time, trying to look at what is the target. He was on the Steel, but as soon as the Cream come into range, he's gonna transfer to it, and then as soon as Twinblast comes back while the 2 order of disengage, he's gonna shift the priority. And that's really something as a carry that you should try to master. Is in team fight you should never like chase kill in a sense, unless very specific situation, and most of the time you should just like target what is in front of you while also limiting any exposure for yourself. And that was exactly what Neft did in that fight. You can see how he was shifting very flawlessly between target every time one of the targets starting to be slightly out of range and another target under his range. And that in the end generated a very, very strong fight. They do have to be careful though. I don't think they have a lot of mana. It's still only a 4v3. Terra is dead, Grim is dead, but they are not healthy enough or have enough mana to really like force that. It will probably end up in a very scuffed team fight, and so they decided to not risk it. So here we see the ability has been selected with the physical penetration from the Onet Chris, which means that's gonna be a Tainted Trident to be able to get a little bit of anti-heal. The anti-heal could be useful against the Zarus Mutilator, the Mutilator also from the Terra, also the Lifesteal from the Grim. So there is some good use for the anti-heal, even though, to properly speak, they don't have any healing abilities. And it's also a lot of good, like, burst damage. Here, Neft is getting fully run down by the Terra, so he's gonna try to walk towards his teammate a little bit, then flash away. Unfortunately, none of his teammates react to that. He's trying his best, and once again, you see, like, how he dashed towards his teammate instead of, like, keeping going away. As a carry, the safest place you have is not really is not really towards your base, is towards your teammate, because then your teammate can try to peel for you. And that's something that Neft here has tried to do as much as he can. He's gonna try to go for the play, and unfortunately Swaz was slightly better, and that's gonna be a full team wipe, which should result into the Fang Tooth. And maybe here I feel like there was a window if they wanted to go for a reset into Ore Prime on the side of the Dawn team. They're gonna go for the Fang Tooth. I think because of that Fang Tooth, now the window for the Ore Prime is closed. So I would maybe have preferred that play overall. But we will see what they decide to go for. And that was another thing. I talked about it already, but as a carry, really, the safest place in teamfight is near your teammate, is not towards your base. Here, if he was just like flashing behind and rocket dashing behind towards his base, it would have been such an easy kill for Twins. While in the end, Neft managed to survive the aggression of the Terra by playing with a little bit his teammate. His teammate were a little bit slow on the uptake to be able to peel for him. Still, because he make the life of Twins complicated and always keep himself nearby teammates potentially, he actually managed to survive this aggression. He ends up falling from the Howitzer, but that was a very, very close situation. I feel like we're a little bit slow at going to that Ore Prime. I feel like we should have gone immediately. Romauer is going in, he's gonna try like to steal that. I don't know what is the health. Neft is arriving. He's gonna die. We're gonna try to get a bit of damage, try to get some kill. Howitzer is 1 HP, but unfortunately there is the stasis. They're gonna secure. They're kind of getting kind of low though, so at any point we can start to turn around. They still have the Quang, still is going in, but Neft managed to find the kill on the Howitzer, and now he's gonna follow up. Unfortunately, the Judgment doesn't connect. Bondroot is trying to be aggressive on the Fae. You see how Neft immediately turned around, because if Bondroot was walking towards that Fae, he could have killed that Fae. Now we're turning back around on the other side because the aggression was trying to be made. And here we have the Zarus getting stunned a little bit. We do have also the Grim. They're getting sandwiched a little bit. They have to respect that. So Neft is gonna fall back towards this little choke point, and we're probably gonna go for the full-on disengage here. Morris is chasing a little bit more, looking to maybe catch the thing, get the flash, but get the flash as well. We're gonna try to deal as much damage as we can. We'll get the Judgment Sword. We're gonna chase. And that should be a kill, but that's gonna be a 1-for-1. Overall, the 1-for-1 trade is good because they have the Ore Prime. And you see like a very, very long extended team fight, but once again, Neft being well positioned throughout the whole fight, always dealing damage during the whole duration of the fight, but never really exposing himself until here at the end of that fight, trying to get the trade. We're gonna get the Flight Trap, but the Flight Trap is not on the Grim. We're gonna chase the Grim, which is correct, and then we're gonna turn our attention towards the Steel. We have to be careful now because Twin is here. Bit surprised that Twin doesn't go for that Fae. I think he could have killed the Fae. Instead, he's gonna go for the tank and leave the Fae fully free. This Fae should rotate to that fight. Try to deal some damage. That's exactly what you shouldn't be doing as a caster, being in a position that you cannot cast spell to the enemy team. Neft is back, so he's gonna try to walk towards that direction, try to help the team fight. No, we're way past 20 minutes, so red and blue buff can be shared with a teammate. And we kind of survived the onslaught of the Ore Prime without losing too much. They didn't lose tier 2 towers, beside the one that was already lost on dual lane. So for Ore Prime push, overall was pretty good. Here, unfortunately, Morris is here. Neft doesn't have flash, so he's gonna end up dying. Maybe he was expecting his opponent to group around the Fang Tooth, but at that point, it was a battle to see who is gonna set the wave, so... Getting punished without flash up, you cannot do much against the Zarus, so you have to fully respect any time the Zarus can be somewhere, or even the Terra. And here it wasn't fully respected, so you end up dying. But it dies quite early, so I think it will be up for this Primal Fang Tooth team fight, which is an important one. think maybe he was trying to farm to finish his Mutilator. We're gonna get a lot of damage. Bondroid get the trade, but trading his life for the support is very not good, so here, that's exactly what you shouldn't be doing as a carry. Try to dive, be an assassin. That's exactly what Bondroid has done. You should do more what Neft is doing so far in those team fight. You DPS what is in front of you and you don't expose yourself. Because now, they still like go for the Primal Fangtus, but the 4v4 should be at the advantage of the team of the Dusk side. Though we're a little bit slow on the uptake once again. We're gonna finally arrive. Primal is at 5k. Trying to get like some damage as much as we can. Trying to create people around. Trying to poke these Zarus as much as we can. We're looking at going in and we're gonna steal the Primal Fangtus Romauer, winning the 50-50 battle, and should be enough to be able to go for a full cleanup. We're gonna try to kill the Zarus. Drone is jumping away so we cannot see the action, and that's gonna be 2 kills while only losing Romauer, but we secure the Primal Fangtus. I feel like Dusk team should have been like earlier to that Primal Fangtus, making the game a little bit complicated for themselves. Luckily, Romauer win the 50-50 battle on this hunt. And so now we have Primal Fangtus on 3 people, I think, because I'm not sure the Zinx have it. Yeah, the Zinx doesn't have it. We're trying to get as much damage as we can. The poke is getting pretty strong. Ooh, but we get like the Neural Regenesis, which we're gonna probably save that Quang. And then we're looking to poke as much as we can. Fly Trap, and that's gonna be a dead Terra. No Unstoppable Force. Here we should be just focusing the inhibitor, not looking so much to get there. Unfortunately, the Primal Fangtus was ticking, so Neft got targeted by the inhibitor many times. And here, we're actually gonna secure 2 inhibitor, and then we go for the disengage. While you walked away, always look at stealing the enemy jungle. It's always something that is good because you get slightly more farm for yourself, but you also stop the opposition to be able to get their own farm. So it's a very good thing to do. And now we can see the Mutilator has been completed, which allow you to get a little bit more Omnivamp, ability A, since you were kind of in ability based build with a lot of physical penetration. It's pretty good since we're spamming also abilities. And they have tanks. Once again, they have not really tanks, but 2 bruiser plus 1 tank. So people that have a lot of HP, as you can see, HP item, 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 HP item. There is HP item everywhere. So Mutilator is very strong in that situation. Here we're looking for maybe getting like an engage. Primal Fangtus is still up, but is not gonna be up for a long time. But you only have like 1 wave to... Ooh, very perfect timing on the Liberator to not get CC, so we don't cancel the ultimate. Here Morris is trying to be aggressive, gonna go on to Neft, and we got the Neural Regenesis, so maybe we're gonna survive. We're gonna try to get onto Morris. Morris is 1 HP, then their Terra is going on him, and once again the rocket dash towards the teammate to be able to be safe and making the life complicated for the assassin, the people that dive the backline. Very good play here that time by the Zinx to keep Neft alive. And now we're gonna try to secure the O-Prime since they have to go back to base to defend, which means they can only have like 2 people coming. Of course, as a carry, your job during objective is to DPS the objective. It's not to zone, it's not to try to get killed. If your team decides to turn around, though, turn the fight, try to kill people coming to contest, then you have to follow up. But otherwise, your job is really to just DPS the objective. And the Fae winning the 1v2, killing 2 people, that should be game. Since now they have 4 people dead. 2 people are gonna respawn before they reach the Nexus, but it's still like a 5v3 with everyone getting the Ore Prime region. And 2 waves pouring into the base. And so that's gonna be GG. People don't even have time to respawn. And yeah, overall, I feel like it was a tough game. Not an easy one to win. Dual lane was dominating, but the rest of the map was actually like having trouble. There was like a Terra a Zarus, and a steal to be able to dive Neft. And despite all of that, he managed to showcase how you should be playing the team fight, trying to DPS as much as you can, and always have good positioning. I love also that he showed so well how it's important to go towards your teammate in team fight and not towards your base. I see a lot of carry doing that mistake. And also how you can dominate your laning phase through good wave management, getting every single last hit, which allow you to get your first item first, taking advantage of your power spike. That's the only moment he really walked forwards past the tier 1 tower and get a double kill for it because he understands his power spike. And from there, he was pretty big throughout the whole match and get a lot of damage done. I hope you enjoyed that carry match, and I will see you in the next one.